Good morning.
Good morning, ma'am.
Which pool we were discussing in the morning? Which pool? After root pressure, we did another pool in the morning. Which pool was it? Class 11th. Which pool did we discuss in the morning in the first period today? Parth, you were not there for class? Alvan?
Ma'am, I was not there because of some network problem.
That is why, no? Alvan? Parth? What about you people? Because you were not there, that is why you're not able to answer. As simple as it is. Let me admit students over there, they'll be able to answer. Yes, tell me, bache. Which pool did we discuss in the morning?
Transpiration pull.
What are the two types of forces that are applicable in this pull?
Cohesive and adhesive.
Force
Force.
between two similar kind of particles is called?
Cohesive force.
Yes. Attraction force between different kinds of particles is called?
Adhesive force.
Adhesive force.
Thin narrow tube is called?
Capillary.
Capillary. So, when the capillary is thin, what does it mean about the diameter?
Diameter
less.
is less.
Yes. So, if diameter is less, capillary is thin, what will be the water rate to push up? Higher or lower?
Higher.
Higher.
Higher. Yes. We did in the morning now. We compared which part of the plant to a capillary tube?
Leaf
Xylem.
xylem.
Leaf xylem. And the opening at the end of the tube was?
Stomata.
Stomata.
Then I was discussing with you the structure of a leaf of a dicot. Giving you 2 minutes. What I did in the morning, quickly revise the structure of the leaf of a dicot plant. Then we'll continue. Please revise 2-3 minutes. It's shared on your screen. Revised?
Yes,
Revised
ma'am.
beta. What are the two factors which affect transpiration quickly?
Temperature and humidity.
Okay. Now, what is the relationship between rate of evaporation? Tell me, what is the relationship?
Ma'am, please repeat the question.
Ma'am, temperature is directly proportional.
Okay, temperature is directly proportional. Alvan, you were not there in the first period today. Were you present yesterday in the class? Alvan Siddiqui, were you there yesterday in the class? He's again gone. Who is this new boy, new admission? Where has he come from? Whenever I take his name, he leaves the meeting and gets out. Anyways, you people continue. Chalo, tell me. What about humidity? What is
It
the
is
relation?
inversely proportional.
Inversely proportional.
Inversely proportional.
So there are two factors which affect transpiration. Very good, children. Temperature and
Humidity.
Humidity.
what is, chalo, badhiya. What is the difference between the upper epidermis and the lower epidermis of the leaf of a dicot plant?
Upper epidermis do not have
stomata
stomata and
and
lower
lower
epidermis
Whereas
epidermis
lower
have stomata.
epidermis have stomata.
See, those who are not attending class, obviously I'm telling you, they'll keep learning, rote learning, their concepts would never be clear. For sure. Chalo, let's do this. Water evaporates through stomata because of high temperature, lower humidity. So when water keeps on evaporating, we know that there's a capillary, a straw which will move. Suction is needed. I had already told you why we suck, to remove the air. An empty space is created. Similarly, when water is lost to the open tube of xylem, vacuum is created due to continuous loss of water vapor from the stomata. That is the open end of your straw. Now, what was the straw we had considered as? Xylem vessel. So vacuum is created and water moves up. The loss of water due to transpiration creates a pull. This loss of water due to transpiration creates a pull. This pull is what we call as transpiration pull. See, there is loss of water vapor, so vacuum is being created in the xylem. Because of this vacuum, a pull will be created. But this pull is being created because transpiration is taking place. That is why this pull is known as which pull?
Transpiration pull.
Yes. This transpiration pull is so strong that it can carry water to heights in meters or in feet of it also. I told you root pressure only few centimeters. But if water has to travel meters or feet, 5 feet, 6 feet, old trees, big trees, then which process? Root pressure or transpiration pull?
Transpiration pull.
Pull.
Very good. So what is the conclusion? We had root pressure, but in root pressure, the rise is only up to a low height, very few centimeters. Then we had capillary forces, we had adhesion, we had cohesion, and we had transpiration pull. There are so many 5 techniques which help in transport of water. Root pressure, but in root pressure, the water can go only up to a few.
Centimeters.
Then we talked about capillary force, involved adhesion, cohesion, transpiration pull. Remember, the movement of water is always unidirectional. It will always go from the roots to the height of a plant, matlab lower to upper. Movement of water is always what direction?
Unidirectional.
Yes. Mineral absorption takes place by 2 ways, active absorption and passive absorption. When water is absorbed by the root hairs, minerals are also absorbed. So absorption by root hairs with water. Minerals are absorbed along with whom? Along with what? Minerals are not absorbed separately. They are absorbed with
Water.
water. Very good. When root hairs absorb water, minerals also go. See this, beta. There is a difference part. If minerals in the soil are in high concentration, then the movement will be passive. That means high to low. From the soil, automatically the minerals will go into the root hairs by the process of diffusion. Okay. Minerals will enter, but no energy will be spent in this case. No energy will be spent because the concentration is higher in the soil and the concentration is low inside the root hairs. So which process will take place? High concentration to low concentration on its own without involving energy?
Diffusion.
Yes. Diffusion. Very good. But beta, see the second case. If minerals in the soil are in less concentration compared to the plant, so the movement has to be from low to high concentration. Now the soil has less minerals, the plant has higher minerals, but the minerals have to move from the soil to the plant. It is not that they're going to move from the plant to the soil. That means they're going to move against the concentration gradient. That is low concentration to, tell me?
Higher
Concentration. So obviously beta, against the concentration gradient, energy is involved. And this kind of a transport of minerals is known as active transport. This is more common case. Once it enters actively, they move with water. More commonly, mineral absorption is active transport or passive transport?
active transport.
Active transport.
Yes. So we have 2 modes of transport of minerals. Very quickly, what are the 2 modes? Yes, very quickly. 2 modes of mineral transport. Active and
Diffuse.
Active and
Diffusion
passive.
and active.
passive transport. What happens is the concentration of minerals outside is more or inside the plants is more?
Outside is more.
Outside.
Outside is more. That means high concentration to low concentration or low to high?
High to low.
High to low.
Along the gradient or against the gradient?
Along the gradient.
Along the gradient.
Do we need energy?
No.
We do not know etiology. So this kind of a transport will be known as
Passive transport.
Passive
passive
transport.
transport. Let us talk about a case where the concentration of minerals is low in the soil as compared to the plants. Now, will the minerals move from soil to plant or plant to soil? Have you ever heard that minerals were given by a plant to the soil here? Of course, I'm not talking about decomposition. Normal cases. It will never happen, na beta?
No, ma'am.
So, high to low or low to high?
Low to high.
Low to high.
Low to high.
Along the, very good children, along the gradient or against the gradient?
Against the
Against
gradient.
the gradient.
Okay. Will energy be involved?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
So which kind of a transport is this?
Active
Active
transport.
transport.
This is active transport. So minerals generally travel or are transported by two modes, active and passive. Both the methods are clear to everyone. Mineral transport, we don't have
Yes,
to go into
ma'am.
much detail. Factors affecting the rate of transpiration, I've already done with you. Temperature, directly proportional. You've already told me if temperature increases, this will also increase. But beta, one thing. If the temperature is very high, you already told me that temperature is directly proportional to transpiration. This you have done in classes 9th, 10th. But we need to understand this part. But if the temperature goes very high, then stomata close. This is a natural process in plants. If the temperature becomes very high, the stomata close. So temperature is closing. What is happening to this dot? What is this dot? Stomata. It is
Stomata.
closing. What is it? Closing. Now we need to understand why stomata close. At very high temperature, we have a stress hormone ABA. I think you did in 10th abscisic acid. Did you read about this?
No, ma'am.
Stress hormone. Acha,
No,
haan,
ma'am.
this chapter was cut. This chapter was cut. You told me this chapter of PGRs was cut. We have two kinds of hormones. So this is a stress hormone. This is known as a stress hormone, ABA, abscisic acid. So whenever the temperature becomes very high, this is released. This hormone is
Ma'am,
released.
it is the stress. It is the stress
Yes.
hormone in plants.
Plants. Like we have adrenaline in humans. Whenever we have stressful conditions, we have adrenaline released in humans, in animals as well. So here
Okay,
in
ma'am.
plants also we have a stress hormone. What is the name? ABA. What is it
ABA.
called? ABA.
ABA.
Acha, fine. So whenever the temperature is very high, this comes to the relief of a plant, that is ABA. It immediately closes the stomata so that water loss is prevented and transpiration automatically stops. So understand the difference between both of them. If temperature increases, the rate of transpiration also increases. It is directly proportional. But if the temperature is very high, then the stomata closes. Stomata closes because of the release of which hormone at high temperature?
ABA.
ABA hormone.
Very good. Abscisic acid, this is a stress hormone. It will close the stomata. So transpiration not only decreases, it actually stops. Transpiration stops when the temperature is very high. Third factor you had already told me, that is humidity. If humidity is less outside, water vapor will move from high to low concentration. You told me it's inversely proportional. I've just tried to explain this. H, humidity is high, transpiration is low. H stands for humidity, TR stands for transpiration. And if humidity is low, transpiration is high. Only with the help of these arrows we have done. You told me inversely proportional. Fourth is light, beta. Though light does not directly affect transpiration, but still a bit indirectly it affects. How? This affects the opening and closing of stomata. When light intensity increases, the rate of photosynthesis also increases. You agree?
Yes,
When
ma'am.
the light increases, what will increase the rate of
Photosynthesis.
photosynthesis? That means more amount of glucose is being formed. And glucose, extra glucose, whenever it is formed, it is deposited in guard cells. Where will it get deposited?
Guard
Guard
cell.
cells.
Guard cells. So when so much of glucose is deposited in the guard cells, the concentration of glucose increases. What will happen to the guard cells? The guard cells come in hypertonic condition. Which condition?
Hypertonic condition.
Hypertonic. And we know that water always starts moving from hyper to hypo. So water starts moving out of the guard cells. Stomata opens wide and the rate of transpiration again increases. But light, when the light is too high, again this stress hormone comes into help, that is ABA, this closes the stomata. So light also up to a certain level it will affect, but simply like temperature, if the light is too high, extra artificial light, then ABA will again come to the relief of the plant and the rate of transpiration to nahi, transpiration is going to stop only because of this hormone. Let me very quickly discuss the factors which affect transpiration. When we say temperature, please divide the temperature into two categories. Normal case, what will you tell about temperature? When temperature increases, what happens to rate of transpiration?
Transpiration also increases.
Increases.
And if
But
there's
in
extreme rise in the temperature, then what happens?
Transpiration stops.
Transpiration stops. Why does it stop?
Because ABC hormone is released.
Yes, stress hormone is released. Which hormone?
ABA.
Very good. So when you're writing about temperature, please mention both the things, extreme temperatures and normal temperature. Third factor we did was humidity, which is very simple to remember, directly proportional or inversely.
Inversely
Inversely
proportional.
proportional.
The fourth factor I talked about was light. Okay. Light, though it is not directly related to the rate of transpiration, but of course it is related indirectly to the rate of transpiration. Because when light increases, the speed or the rate of photosynthesis also increases. So more amount of glucose is formed. This extra glucose will go and accumulate in which cells?
Guard cells.
Guard cells. Guard cells will become hypertonic, which will lead to the opening of the stomata and the rate of transpiration increases. But again, if light is too high, then again, who's going to come and close the stomata?
ABA hormone.
ABA. This is the stress hormone in plants, abscisic acid. Okay, is it okay for everybody? Factors affecting, I have done two things just now in this period. First is the two modes of transport of mineral nutrition. One was which transport? Active transport, na children? And which was the
Active
second mode?
transport.
Which was the second
And
mode?
passive
Passive
transport.
So we did mineral nutrition
Yeah.
transport and we have done rate of transpiration. What are the factors which affect rate of transpiration? We have just done beta. Light, humidity, and
Temperature.
yes. Now I'm moving on to last topic of this chapter, that is transport of food by phloem. Okay, before I go and move on and immediately start explaining to you, first just see a bit about this phloem. What all is there in phloem, because if you'll not understand the structure, you'll never be able to understand the concept. This is the last topic of the chapter, children, transport of food, how food is transported. We have done how water is transported, we have done how minerals are transported, and now we are going to read about how food is being transported. Mass flow hypothesis, last part of the chapter. I started the chapter right again so that after the break, there was no link, 15, 16 days break. Please see this. I'm giving you 2 minutes. Try and understand this structure and read what is written. Then I'll start.
Ma'am, cohesive and adhesive transport forces transports water in short plants.
Okay, beta, we are doing the last part of the chapter, that is transport of food. Fine.
Ma'am, I have a question.
Yes, beta.
Ma'am, cohesive and adhesive forces transport water in short plants.
Yes, beta, smaller plants only, not very high. Transpiration pull
Okay.
is the only mode where water can travel few meters or inches or feet also. All other factors, they generally help in small herbaceous plants only.
Okay, ma'am.
In phloem, I mentioned only two parts, sieve tubes or sieve cells and companion cells. But in class 9th, you must have done two more components of a phloem. Name them. Class 9th, I think, if I'm not wrong. 4 components of phloem. What happened? Forgot. Anybody remembers? Anyways, if you don't remember, forget about it. Phloem, parenchyma. Because those two parts are not related to my topic also, you need to revise, bache. I've just taken up only those two components which are important for me, sieve tubes and companion cells. Sieve cells, because many sieve cells are connected to each other, we also call them as sieve tubes. And which is the second most important thing I want you to know about phloem? Which cells?
Companion cell.
Companion cells.
Yes, beta. Now you see these cells are sieve cells are actually long cells. So we also call them as plates. What do we call them as? Sieve plates. Because these sieve cells are long cells, column-like cells, so we call them as sieve plates. What do you call them as?
Sieve plates.
Sieve plates.
And they have perforated plates. If you can see these dots, they are perforated. What do you mean by perforated?
Something which have holes in it.
Something which
Yes,
has
very
pores.
good. Something which has pores. So you can see this is a sieve cell. Upper part also you have these sieve plates over here. There are holes. And if you can see this blue cell, one more cell attached to this sieve cell. What is this called as? What is this cell called?
Companion cell.
Companion
Yes, it is
Companion cell.
companion cell. Companion means the one which always stays with you, your companion. So wherever you're going to have a sieve tube, you'll have this cell attached to it, this blue color which I've tried to show. This is a companion cell. So beta, this is your sieve cell. Remember that it has which kind of plates?
Sieve
Sieve plates.
Okay, fine. So there's a cell attached to the sieve tube. What is this cell called as?
Companion
Companion
cells.
cell.
Yes. So now your food is, now you know the structure of phloem, so you'll be very easily able to understand how food moves. The movement of food takes place by a hypothesis, which is known as mass flow hypothesis. What is the name of the hypothesis?
Mass
Mass
flow
flow
hypothesis.
Mass flow. Mass means bulk. It is not that one piece of food will be transported and then another. No. Food always moves in bulk. That is, this hypothesis is known as what hypothesis?
Mass flow hypothesis.
Yes, mass means in bulk. So food always travels in bulk. This hypothesis is known as, tell me what is this called as?
flow hypothesis.
Okay, can we have a revision of the structure? Tell me. A structure of phloem. What did we have?
Sieve tube.
Very quickly.
Sieve tubes, sieve plates, companion cells.
Perforated
Very
sieve
good.
plate. Companion cell.
See, this is very important. The structure, if you have in your mind, you'll be able to understand very nicely what it is. Now see, the name of the hypothesis is mass flow hypothesis. Food to be transported always travels in bulk. It can be explained by a very simple theory, which is called a source to sink theory. This mass flow hypothesis is explained by a theory. What is the name of the theory?
Source
Source
to sink.
Sink theory.
Source to sink hypothesis, source to sink theory. Understand, children, what is source? Place where food is produced or synthesized. That place is called the source. That means your leaf, correct? Source is the place where food is synthesized in a plant. That means your leaves. So what is the source? Tell me.
Leaf.
leaf,
Leaf.
leaf,
And the sink is the place where it is stored. It could be root, stem, or leaves. Any three places where food is going to be stored. That place is known as sink. Is it okay? It could be different cases. For example, in sugarcane, you know, food is stored in stems. Somewhere it is stored in underground stems. Somewhere it is stored in roots. So source to sink theory. Two things to remember about the movement of food. Food always travels in bulk and it always travels from source to sink. It always travels from.
Source to sink.
source to sink,
So when I say source in a plant, I mean the place where food is produced or prepared or synthesized. So which organ of a part, which part of the plant am I talking about?
Leaf.
leaf,
leaf,
And very good. When I say sink, I mean that part where the food is going to get stored. In different plants, it's different parts. Can I have 2-3 examples? It could be roots.
Root, stems,
Stems.
leaves.
all leaf,
Yes. So two things are very clear to you, that food is going to move in bulk and it will always move from the leaves to the sink. It could be from the leaves to the stems. It could be from the leaves to the roots, underground root, underground stems, anywhere. So what are the two keywords you need to remember in transport of food? First is which hypothesis?
mass, bulk,
mass flow,
Yes. Mass flow hypothesis or bulk flow hypothesis, both are correct. Which says that food always travels in
bulk,
Bulk.
bulk. Very good. It is not that 1 gram is traveling, it's going to travel in bulk. And this mass flow hypothesis is explained with the help of a theory which is known as
Source to sink theory.
to sink
Source
theory,
to sink theory.
source is the part where food is.
prepared,
Synthesized.
Yes, very good. And sink is the place where it is going to be stored. See, carbohydrates, they synthesize as glucose. Okay, carbohydrates, carbohydrates are produced in the form of glucose, but they're stored as carbohydrates. So they're produced as glucose, then they're transported as sucrose, and then they're stored as starch. Bache, this is just an example to make you understand that how many changes take place in food when it travels. Okay, when it is produced after photosynthesis, the first food which is produced is what? Glucose.
glucose,
What is the synthesized first product?
sucrose,
Basically, sucrose, fructose, they're glucose. But the problem is that glucose is highly reactive. We cannot transport it in the form of glucose. So we transport it in which form?
sucrose,
Sucrose. Because
Sucrose.
sucrose is not reactive. It is not reactive. So on the way when it is being transported, it will not react. And once it reaches its sink area, it is stored as what?
starch,
Starch.
starch,
After photosynthesis, we get glucose, but this glucose is prepared in the leaves. From the leaves, we directly cannot send them to the sink because glucose is highly
reactive,
reactive,
So when we have to transport glucose from the source to the sink, we transport it in the form of
sucrose,
Sucrose.
yes. Why do we convert glucose to sucrose for transportation?
because
because it is
highly
not
reactive and sucrose is
Yes.
non-reactive.
Otherwise, because if we'll set it in the form of glucose, it will keep on reacting with everything that it finds on the way. And finally, when it reaches the sink, it is stored in the form of starch. See this. Here we had glucose, here we had sucrose. Supposing the sucrose is dumped into the sieve cell. Let us assume we have sucrose. It is dumped or it is stored over here in the sieve cell. First, try and understand from here how it will enter. Supposing the sucrose has to reach here, the sieve cell. How will it reach? See the arrows. First, it will enter this cell. Which cell was this? I had shown you a cell
Companion
attached. Yes, that is why I said structures are very important. Very good. First, it will enter the companion cell. Then it will enter the sieve tube. Directly, it will not enter. The food will directly not enter the sieve tubes, the phloem. Food never enters the phloem cells directly. First, this food, that is sucrose. Why am I giving the example of sucrose over here? Because it has come by transportation. So it is already been converted into which form? Non-reactive form. That is sucrose. See the arrow. Where is sucrose first entering? Which cell is this?
Companion cells.
Companion cells.
Companion cells. Now from companion cells, it will go and enter the sieve cells. Now what happens is this inner medium becomes hypertonic because we have a lot of sucrose inside. So this inner part will become hypertonic. And we know that water always moves from hyper to hypertonic. So from the surrounding cells, water will move into the soup tips. Water will start moving from the surrounding cells from here to this part. So pressure will start building inside this sieve tube. Pressure starts to build up. Okay. This sieve tube has a lot of pressure now. I need to explain this once again to you, how pressure is created. Sucrose was coming from the companion cell. Lot of sucrose accumulated in the sieve tube cell now. Because of high concentration now, your sieve tube cell has become what? Hypo or hyper?
Hypertonic.
Hypertonic.
But water to ulta chalta hai. Water always moves from hypo to hyper or hyper to hypo. When I did osmosis, I said, ye jarur yaad rakhna hai. Water
Hypo
always
to
moves
hyper.
from.
Hypo to hyper.
So this is hyper and this is hypo. So water will move from outside to inside or inside to outside.
Outside to
Outside
inside.
to inside.
Very good. So water will start entering these sieve tubes and a pressure will be created in this sieve cell. What is being created over here? Pressure.
Pressure.
But now understand this. This is one sieve cell. This is the second sieve cell and this is the third sieve cell, all connected together to make sieve tube. Now this has high pressure. I've already told you why this has high pressure. Everybody's understood why this had high pressure? Because of water entering. But the neighboring sieve cell has low pressure because there is no sucrose over here. There is no water over here. So which one has low pressure? Just the next sieve cell has low pressure. And we so know that material always moves from high pressure to
Low pressure.
Low pressure.
So the sucrose that we had in the first sieve cell will be pushed to the second one. Now the same process will happen here also. Lot of sucrose here. So what is going to happen? Hypertonic. Water will enter from outside to inside. A pressure will be created. And this low pressure will now become, the second one will become what now?
High pressure.
High pressure. Similarly, good children. Similarly, so this is how food is transported to all the neighboring sieve cells where pressure is low. The neighboring cells have pressure low. Now when materials move from high pressure sieve cells, they move to the other sieve cells. Okay. Now, okay, tell me one thing. The sucrose from this has reached here. So this one has become what pressure?
High pressure.
High pressure.
But the first one after losing the sucrose has become
Low pressure.
low pressure. I know it is a little complicating. If you people will tell me, I'll take it once again with you. See, beta, when the materials on the high pressure sieve cell moves to other sieve cells, the first one now has a low pressure, but the second one has a high pressure, and so on. It continues. So the second becomes the same condition as the first, water. So again, this one has become what? This has become low pressure. Again, the same condition now. Because this has become low pressure, again sucrose will enter from here. Again, this will become hypertonic. So this entire process keeps on continuing. Pressure starts to build up. This was
And
high,
water
this was
also-
low.
Water also
Yes,
enters through the companion cells.
Yes, water is also entering. So direct, we are not going to enter anything. Now materials on the high pressure, sieve cells move to other sieve cells. The first one is low pressure, the second is high pressure, and so on. So the second becomes the same condition as the first. Water moves in, pressure builds up, and so on. So the movement is because sugar is deposited inside the medium. Why did this happen? The sucrose was depositing, and because of this sucrose, the medium became what?
Hypertonic.
Hypertonic.
Hypertonic. And which process of water took place? Endosmosis or exosmosis?
Endosmosis.
Yes, so this is how it will keep on moving till it reaches which organs? Storage organs. I just talked about 2-3 storage organs. What were the names?
Roots, stems, leaves.
There is only one thing you need to remember. That food, when it reaches the last sieve cell, and it enters the storage organs, we need ATP for this because this is an active process. When the food has to enter from these phloem into the storage organs, we have to go against the gradient. So ATP has to be involved. So this process is which kind of a process? Active
Active
process.
Active.
Once it reaches the storage organs, it is converted into starch. I had already told you. So transport of food is multidirectional. Transport of food is multidirectional. I showed you a figure where the sieve cells were arranged like this. Upar niche, upar niche. So food was traveling like this, upar to niche. Now I've shown you sieve cells arranged like this, left to right. So food will travel from here to here. Yes or no, children?
Yes,
It is
ma'am.
going to go from source to sink. It can be anywhere. The leaf can be here. See, I've given you an example. This is one leaf, जो बहुत ऊपर है plant पे. This is a lower area. Both are source or not?
Yes, ma'am.
And I'm assuming that there is a fruit over here where food is being stored. So from this leaf also, the food will come here. From this leaf also, the food will come and get stored over here. So if I see this leaf, the food is moving from up to down, from source to sink. And if I talk about this leaf, it is moving from down to up. See the arrows. From this leaf, I've shown an arrow downwards. That means the food is moving from this source to this sink. And from the lower leaf also it is coming. That means it is coming from the both leaves. And here I try to explain it to you. Sieve cells arranged one below the other. It could be left to right the moment, or it could be right to left, anywhere. So the transport of food is unidirectional or multidirectional?
Multidirectional.
But the transport of water was?
Unidirectional.
Yes.
Unidirectional.
So this is the main difference between transport of food and transport of water. Now very quickly tell me, 30 seconds left. Should I take up transport of food again with you tomorrow, or you'll revise and let me know later that you've understood or you've not understood? Today, I'll surely post this PDF. Okay, beta? And you see the video once again.
ma'am.
Please see the video once again, especially
ma'am.
this translocation part, the food travel wala part. That's a little typical for you. This finishes with the chapter. So what you need to do is, children, you need to please see this video at least once again. And after you see this, if you still feel, then tomorrow or day after or on Saturday, I can take up this part again with you, transport of food. Though what I feel is once I post the PDF and you see the video once again, you will not have a difficulty in understanding. But still I'm saying. So we've done what in the last period today? We did transport of minerals, active process and?
Transport of food. Transport of food.
Yes. We also talked about active transport of minerals and passive transport of minerals. We talked about factors which affect the rate of transpiration. And lastly, we talked about transport of food. Which hypothesis is this?
Mass flow hypothesis.
Very good. Which is explained by which theory?
Source to sink theory.
Very good. Source to sink theory. So when we say source in a plant, we actually mean what?
Leaf.
Leaves. And sink could be any area where food is stored. It could be which part of a plant?
Food.
Root,
Stem.
leaves, stem.
Root
In
leaves.
small figure, very good children, small figure which I've shown. Which is your sink? The last figure, chota sa which I've made. The sink is what? Here.
Leaf.
No. Sink.